Though Kaine was in town to speak to supporters, he did mention his disappointment in New York's U.S. Representative Anthony Weiner, who admitted to lying about posting revealing photos online.
Lying is unforgivable. Lying publicly about something like this is unforgivable, and he should resign.
And with months of campaigning ahead, he shows no signs of slowing down.
I feel real good about the team. I feel really good about the dynamic, and I'm excited about our message, which is America has challenges, Virginia has answers.
Former head of the Democratic National Committee, Tim Kaine. Boom, boom. That was Weiner under the bus. You know what? It's a story where you are perpetually 13. But the thing about all of this is that, does it really matter who began alerting who to what? No. The point is that the guy did it. Anthony Weiner did it. He confessed. He lied about it for a long time. There's a lot of discussion as to whether or not he used his congressional phone, his congressional office, to engage in these discussions and the sending of the photos and all of that. But the media still wants a sacrificial lamb. And that's one of the things that we heard on Ed Schultz's show last night, wherein Joan Walsh and Bill Press were arguing over how, we can't really condemn him because the right can't have this many scalps. And Ed Schultz actually had a meltdown, and he was bellowing at them. And he was like, look, it's not a right or a left thing. The guy did what he did. It's done. Why can't you just acknowledge it? But the people, they want a sacrificial lamb. Now, one of the people at the center of all this, Dan Wolf, this Patriot USA 76 guy, alerted myself, Andrew, a bunch of other media people about this story. And when we pressed him for his number and tried to get some more information on him, he went silent. Now, I'm not in the habit, nor do I never go after and reveal sources and excoriate sources or anything else like that. And I don't really even count this guy as a source, considering that by the time we looked at it, everybody on Twitter was talking about this. But the point is that because of what this Dan Wolf character said, there are a lot of people who do have their names associated with their accounts and have been on Twitter for a long time and who have been really exposed to a lot of vitriol because of this, have had their address, photos of their house published. They've received threats. And one of those people is Mike Stack, who has stayed over the break with us for this segment. He's Goat's Red on Twitter. He's been involved in all of this, and he's been telling us how he got involved with Dan Wolf and when things started to turn sour. Mike, thanks for sticking with us. I appreciate it.
Sure, Dana, sure.
So no one's ever talked to Dan Wolf. No one's even sure whether it's a guy or a girl. Have you and some of the other conservatives on Twitter that have known of him longer than the rest of us, do you have any theories that you've developed just on your own as to who this individual might be? Why is it that they go to great lengths to protect their IP address and all of this stuff? And this Dan Wolf guy before said, come investigate me. I have nothing to hide. But is that really the truth? What is your perspective on this?
I have a few of them, and that's just from, bouncing around now and looking at all the evidence over the last 2 weeks and just looking at my interactions with him. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I don't know if you want me to talk about some of them really in depth. We know we don't have the time for that, but many thoughts to me is it could be a woman, scorned. Who knows? It could be somebody who had a run-in with Rep. Weiner, or doesn't like his politics, or just somebody who has a family member that might have. I really don't want to say too much of what I think. Right. Because we are on the air and things like that, but I don't see it that he had the page open all day, and maybe he was trying to protect somebody. Maybe his whole thing was to protect women from Anthony Weiner. But all I know is that when the chips were down, he disappeared, and that's the biggest problem I have.
And now media people, and now progressives in general, some really nasty ones, are coming after you. Yes.
I got assassinated last Friday. I don't know if you want me to name the publications.
Oh, sure. Of course I do.
I mean, Mediaite turned me into I was harassing young girls. Young women. They said I was harassing, and then the girls turned around and said that the stuff they told me were lies. Daily costs, of course. I mean, you should see what they basically said. Even if this person is me, found innocent, F him anyway. He deserves it. they printed my Neil Rorschach, or whatever his name is, had a nice screenshot of the package, a.k.a. he was going to send to the FBI about me. He had FBI information. But yesterday he closed up his Twitter after someone else finally had some information they posted. They said, oh, why don't you do this or do that? Stop harassing Mike Stack. He put a note up if you want to anyone want to check out Neil's Twitter page.
Right.
Because he's taking some time away from Twitter with this Wienergate. And if anybody wants to know why, they can tweet me, and I'll tell you why.
Wow.
Make sure Neil. I wonder if Neil has some stuff for the FBI. He's going underground.
Now, there was a New York Times story that came out. Jennifer Preston wrote this for the New York. It's on the front page of the New York Times today. She was discussing this loosely associated group of conservatives on Twitter called the Born Free Crew. Which,
can I address that, Dana?
Yeah. I'm curious because it's the New York Times, and I'm initially suspicious. I'm curious to get your perspective on that as well.
Well, I just want to say this for the record. I was always reply all in that group. Okay, it was friends, but the reason my name was always in there, and please understand that, it was always retrait. When you click answer all, my name was always in there no matter what went out. Born Free Crew to me was they picked a song to describe the group. Now, if you look at any of my tweets, most of my stuff was constantly just me tweeting things. Okay, so I don't really consider myself part of any group.
Right.
I mean, it's great that I was in there, but they're identifying me as part of a conservative group that did this, or this. My name was involved in it. Yes, I had some part in tweeting out some stuff, but I really don't want to be associated in saying I was sitting there watching out for young people.
Right. Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What else would you want to clarify to set straight? Because I know a lot of people, it's a complex story to follow, especially when you have this individual that now closed up. He ended, Dan Wolf shut down his Twitter account and all of this, and it leaves all of you in the wake. Anything else that you want to address and set straight that you see other people discussing out there that's not accurate?
Yes. Of course, I've made mistakes in my past. Everyone has. And to tell you the truth, I'm not happy with myself over those mistakes. And for them to be plastered all about and then to be retweeted and over, it happened. I've changed. Things have been, my life is different now. And, it's just...
Well, and it has nothing to do with what happened with Congressman Weiner either, that they would come after you. What he did, he did. He admitted it. He's guilty. You should have nothing to do with it, except they want a sacrificial lamb. Right, and the funniest part, Dana, is a journalist who really raked me over the coals said to me, Mike, you shouldn't have that information out there. You should have covered your tracks. And I said to him, what? I don't live my life covering my tracks. I do the right thing once. And I don't sit there wondering, how can I cover my tracks when people, if they want to try to find me? Right. So... I hope eventually, we can get to the bottom of all this stuff and, Mr. Weiner makes right what he has to make right. And Mr. Wolf will come forward and say, you know what, here I am. Let me own up to this and let me apologize to the people that I threw under the bus. Right. Absolutely. Well, Mike Stack, Goats Red on Twitter, involved in all of this whole Wienergate scandal fallout. I appreciate you coming forward and setting a lot of this stuff straight. There's a lot of questions that this Dan Wolf character has left, but I appreciate you being out there and using your voice and really clearing the record here, clearing the air. Thanks, Mike. Anytime, Dana. I enjoy the show. Thank you very much. Thanks so much. Take care.